Hello there, my very good friends. Andy Murray here for WhatCulture, alongside my very good friend Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, here to give you our star ratings.
Yes.
From WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday. It's a video we do every single year, and we like to give you a little disclaimer before we dive into it. But these are our opinions,
Yes.
Based on our experience in the arena. Obviously, watching at home is a very different experience. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. So your perspective might be completely different. That's totally cool. Just leave your ratings down below in the comment section below. We love that kind of stuff. Just to give you an idea of the scale as well. A dud, obviously, is the worst thing of all time. 1 is real bad. 2 is kind of bad. 3 is good. 4 is great. Anything above that is like match of the year caliber. Yes. And 5 or above, if we do that, is one of the best matches we've ever seen in our lives. So with that in mind, we're going to kick things off. We're going to talk about Jey Uso versus Gunther. Jey Uso, of course, becoming the World Heavyweight Champion to begin night one. Huge moment, huge pop in the building, huge catharsis across the board. But real quick, a word from our sponsors and friends at Surfshark.
Welcome to Las Vegas. We are here courtesy of Surfshark, who are sponsoring all of our WrestleMania content. And Surfshark's VPN is brilliant. It just makes sure all your stuff stays private and secure when you're out and about online. And they even have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, but it allows you to change your virtual location to access all of your favorite content, which means you can watch all of WWE shows on Netflix, not just Raw, but SmackDown and NXT too, with no ads. And you get to see all the bonus content us Brits get to see too. Stuff like this. With everybody saying LA Night, yeah! Just click the link in the description and use code WhatCultureMania at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN.
Anyway, Jey Uso versus Gunther. Look, this was more about the moment than the any ridiculously complex exchanges or anything like that. I think looking at it inside in the arena, right? People were popping huge for every Jey Uso near fall, every big move, every big moment. The entrance was obviously incredible up until Jey tapped him out at the end. Great celebration spot. This I've seen the reaction to this, right? And Jey tapping Gunther out. A lot of people don't like that. Yeah. I had a good time. Yeah. I had a good time. And look, was this some kind of Zack Sabre Jr. technical classic? No, but it wasn't calibrated to be that. So with that in mind, I would pop a nice little good time opener 3-star rating on this bad boy.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. And like you alluded to in the intro there, I think some of our star ratings may be slightly skewed because we're giddy British YouTubers who very rarely get to go and watch American PLEs live, and it's just an awesome experience. And again, thank you for all your support. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. And thanks to Surfshark too, of course. But yeah, the Jey Uso Gunther one, I can see people's star ratings on this ranging from like 4 stars if you're a huge Jey Uso fan and just ecstatic that he got the job done and is World Heavyweight Champion, all the way down to like 1 star if you're the biggest Gunther fan and think he shouldn't have tapped out or shouldn't have even lost the belt to Jey Uso. Yeah. I'm inclined to defend the finish a little bit more because I do subscribe to the thing of like that's his weak spot, despite the fact it's one of his best things, the sort of rear naked choke. And of course Ilya Dragunov has got him with it before. And there's this sort of mental thing of maybe he just thought, oh God, here we go again, and I can't pass out in the main event. Would the moment have been better or different, perhaps, if he'd struggled and fought for it? Maybe. Look, at the end of the day, I just leapt out of my chair when Jey Uso won the World Heavyweight Championship. I loved it. I thought it was a great moment. I will caveat this by saying I agree with everybody who doesn't think that Jey Uso should have a very long title reign. I mean, people have talked about him losing it on the Raw after WrestleMania. Not quite that soon, but certainly he's not going to be holding it for the next 6 months, let's say. Yeah. But I think 3 stars is fair and is a sort of fair general gauge for this sort of a match. Look, I'm going to go through these matches and give my star ratings, and I think it's going to be influenced as well of, will I go back and watch this when we're back in the cold light of lovely Gateshead? Will I sit there and say, I want to see how this went over on telly? This, without doubt, is going to be the first thing I watch because it was just a great way to kick off night one of WrestleMania for me. And I understand if this isn't your thing, but I think 3 stars, a good match, the right result is a perfect place to start. Yeah. Let's move on to the New Day versus the War Raiders. I'll be honest, this match didn't need to be on WrestleMania, if I'm perfectly honest. I would have had a tag match, the tag match you've built for 4 months on Friday Night SmackDown, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the New Day versus the War Raiders. Look, again, the right result here, but not a match I'm going to go back and watch, if I'm perfectly honest. And there was no bad work in there from everybody. Look, the War Raiders and the New Day are brilliant tag teams. But I think this was more about, right, let's get the tag titles on heel New Day as tag champs and go from there going forward after the Raw, after WrestleMania, etc., etc. So probably 2.5 stars if I'm being generous. Like, there's a nice Bobby Heenan allusion, obviously, with the finish. It was the right result, but it was nothing to write home about.
No, this was basically a Raw match. Which is fine, but not on the biggest show of the year, obviously. Like, if this happened tonight, you'd be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. They cheated to win, scoundrels. How dare they do that? I can't wait to see the Vikings get their revenge, all that stuff. But yeah, on a WrestleMania card, it didn't belong on the show. It's nothing against the teams. I think they're both very talented. But I actually agree. I would just go 2.5 on this.
Yeah.
Like, it was just
It wasn't a bad match.
Yeah, it was just fine. Like, it just existed. It was very telling, though, that as soon as they hit the ring, from our section, you could just see the concourse flooding with people. So it's a shared perception.
Logan AJ for night 2, that was.
Yeah, it absolutely was, which is mental considering, like, Logan's power, like, you know, beyond wrestling reach and all that. But yeah, crazy that it was on the show, to be honest. If you wanted to keep it on the show, right, build it for like 1 or 2 or 3 months or something, right?
Or make it the Viking rules match.
Boom, there you go. Give it a fun stipulation or something. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it really belonged on the show. Something that did belong on the show, however, was Naomi versus Jade Cargill. So this was one of the truest blood feuds on either show, on both nights. It's been very well built. From the assault angle to Naomi like stealing the tag team title slot to the big reveal when Jade returned and she just kicked Naomi's ass, and it was an incredible angle. And since then they've done a really good job of building a palpable sense of hatred between the two. Naomi in particular has done an incredible job on promos and stuff. So this was it was more than warranted. It needed to be on the show. You couldn't have skipped it, which, you know, is a nice thing to say after that tag match. And I thought I had an interesting viewing experience with this. I watched it and I thought it was good enough. I thought there were a couple of moments where it was like, okay, there's a bit rough. There's a bit of roughness here. But at the end of the day, did they make it feel like they hated each other? Yes. Did it have a couple of extremely memorable and impactful spots? Yes, absolutely. Mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. So while I'm reticent to say I thought it was like great or anything like that, I do think it achieved what it set out to, and for that reason I'm just going to go another flat 3 on this one.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. It's very rare I see Michael Hamflett bamboozled, but asking him if there's been any other women's matches, singles women's matches on WrestleMania that haven't involved a title, and watching his brain just whir around. I mean, it's long overdue, this, and these two absolutely merited their spot on the WrestleMania card. Yeah, Naomi has been a sensation for me. I was excited and happy to see her turn heel as part of this story, but it's Naomi. Everyone loves Naomi, understandably. Yeah. Could she really pull out that heel persona? I think she's knocked it out of the park, and just because she lost this match, this is not the end for heel Naomi by any stretch of the imagination. Look, Jade Cargill's great. I hope this is the catalyst to now really test her. You know, they've sort of warmed her up by putting her in trios and tag matches and what have you. Look, it's sink or swim time for Jade Cargill, and I thought this was a great test for her. Being in there with someone so class as Naomi obviously helped, but like, Jade Cargill is a freak. Like, the amount of times, there was at least a couple where she just caught Naomi coming off the top rope with ease and lifted her up into a powerbomb or whatever it may be. The right result, a fun addition in terms of like that weird, I don't even know what it was, like she just sort of powered her up into powerbomb position.
Yeah, that was towards
the end.
That was sick. Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, the Jaded getting the 1, 2, 3. I'm really high on this match. I might go slightly high. I'll go 3.5 stars because I really like the two women involved. I like the story that they told, and I'm liking seeing where both these women go next. But let us know, as Andy said in the comment section below, your star ratings as we move on to the US title match. It was LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I mean, I was going to say that the El Grande Americano match was the most predictable, but then the result I thought was going to happen didn't happen. So this one arguably was incredibly predictable in terms of you thought, well, they're going to have to put the title on Jacob Fatu. And yet they had a spot in this match, that moonsault into the BFT, where I thought, Well, I guess Jacob Fatu's not winning at WrestleMania. So I really like the work these two put on. Jacob Fatu is a guy that sells tickets. Like the amount of people I know, a friend of mine took his son to a WWE live show and he fell in love with Jacob Fatu. Probably also slightly terrified of that man because he is the guy who, if you were, and full disclosure, I was, if you were popping out to get some chicken tendies and you heard Jacob Fatu shaking his way down to the ring, you run back because you want to see the ridiculous things that he can do in there. Jacob Fatu, US champion, the right direction again going forward. I'm so excited to see where he goes from here. I mean, personally, if you're not putting a world title on him next year, I'd have him hold that title for the entirety of the run between WrestleMania 41 and 42. I'll go 3.5 stars on this one because I just really enjoyed it and I'm happy for Jacob Fatu. Again, this may be one of those ones where I skew slightly higher because I was just in such a bloody good mood.
Yeah, I thought this was like, in terms of action, the best thing on the show so far. I think LA Knight continually performs out of his skin on pay-per-view or PLE, whatever.
More than just a catchphrase, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The criticism for years was that he was just a persona, but he can definitely turn it up, and this was evidence of that. I thought the BFT, I almost called it the BLT. Let's call it that. I thought the BLT counter spot was incredible. One of the better ones across I would say one of the better ones across either night, but the opener of night one had about 20 great spots in it. And Fatu is, you can't take your eyes off of him. He's dynamic, he's hard hitting, he's fast, scary, he's got the persona down. I just echoed the rating again. Like, this is so far we're agreeing on everything. 3.5. A very good match, and a very appropriate way.
I want to watch this when I get back because I didn't get to see the beginnings of it, and I also want to see him coming out in Maserati as well. Nice.
Yeah, cars.
At least he didn't miss the ramp. So
Yeah. And then hit someone when they finally got down the ring. Bloody hell, Steve. Maybe we'll give that a star rating. After this, it was
just dollar signs.
dollar bills. What was next? Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix. Okay. For a Chad Gable versus Rey Fenix match, right? This was really mid. I thought really mid.
I can't remember a lot of it.
Yeah, me neither. Like, these are two extremely talented dudes, incredibly athletic, great wrestlers. Both of them have long catalogs, Fenix especially, of just wonderful, awesome, fantastic matches, singles and tags, all over the board. And they just kind of, it felt like they didn't really get out of third gear. Add to the fact that Fenix lost. So he's 3 weeks in, he's already lost. Obviously, there was some shenanigans with Vikingo at ringside, and he scalped Grande Americano before the bell, and then he assisted to Fenix afterwards. So you'd imagine there's some kind of business going on there. But yeah, I was disappointed by this from a work rate perspective, from like an in-ring perspective. Like, removing all the concerns about the gimmick and stuff, which I think are valid, but like putting that aside for a minute, in terms of the action, it just wasn't hot. I think it was bad, but I would slap a 2 3/4 on this.
Okay.
Just beneath a gentleman's free for me.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I did the review. I've still got my notes from it, but I can't remember a great deal of spots from this aside from the finish and the loaded mask and what have you. Look, people's opinions are obviously divided on this El Grande Americano character and where they go from here, and now the AAA relationship's going to make things even more interesting with how they handle it going forward. I'm just gonna be really boring and say 3 stars because I think it's incapable. Fenix and whoever it is behind that mask are incapable of having a match below 2-3 stars easily on their worst day. But again, in terms of my now categorizing of this show, will I go back and watch this? No, not after WrestleMania.
No, probably not.
But yeah. I just want to get to the next match, to be honest, Andy, because I think. Let me look across the rest of this card. Maybe the main event of night 2, but I think this match may be the one with the biggest fluctuation of people's star ratings.
Yeah.
Now, I loved this. Like, it was, we talk about loving chaos, me and Andy, and it was chaos. Did I enjoy it for the right reasons? Probably not. But we were expecting big things from Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, and in a way they delivered in terms of, my God, did they put some stiff shots in. It was weird, it was a bit clunky, they kind of lost their way. But the funny thing is, sometimes when wrestlers lose their way, they sort of reset and they're like, right, okay, you good, okay, right, let's do the spot that we were planning to do. Here they were like, right, what are we doing? Okay, wham, and they kick or punch each other in the face. Look at Tiffany Stratton's before and after photo that's been memed to death across the internet. I will say, I think genuinely, I was heaping praise on this on what went down immediately after night one. I will say, I'll repeat what I said there. Had Charlotte Flair won this match, I think my opinion, it may have been vastly different. But is this a match I'm going to go back and watch with the sound all the way up? Absolutely.
Headphones.
Bollocks to it. 4 stars. You may be annoyed by that. That's absolutely fine. It's completely subjective. But Tiffany Stratton is still champion. She beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. That's an incredible achievement. And yeah, it was a wild affair. And I understand if you're going to give it a dud. I understand if you're going to give it, negative stars. I understand if you just think, it was a kind of fine match that kind of lost its way a bit. This is going to be right up there with some of the first matches that I rewatch when we get home from WrestleMania.
Yeah. So my prevailing feeling on this match is that it's a bad match that I liked watching.
Yes.
It was kind of like, you go home, you watch Sharknado or The Room or something, right? Right. That's what it was, to me at least. Look, there were, for long portions, it didn't look like they were on the same page. It didn't look like they knew what was coming next. There was parts where they had to move each other into space, and then someone would try something that just was complete opposite. There were times when they just slapped each other in the face really hard. And then there were times when it really connected and it felt like a physical knockdown brawl. Coming into this match, I was expecting one of two things. I was expecting either Charlotte Flair to go, that doesn't work for me, brother, and issue some kind of big bad burial, or I was expecting them to have like a really back and forth knockout brawl like Charlotte and Rhea a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's the bar.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it was either of those. I think it was just kind of this awkward match between two people who don't like each other.
A proper Gattuso match.
Sometimes maybe. But could I take my eyes off a single second of it?
Nope.
No. Much like the segments that preceded it.
And mainly because also we didn't know who was who because they were in the same gear.
Yeah, well, this is it. Why did Charlotte wear pink, man? That's Tiffy's colour. Also, I think it's quite interesting that Charlotte entered second as the challenger.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, that was, well, if I'm losing, I want this and this. I'm just speculating, obviously. So, like, I can't in good faith give it a good rating because I thought it was a crap match. But I had a really good time and I will rewatch it. Sometimes you want to watch things kind of fall apart. 2 stars.
Absolutely. I think between us, we've got to find a nice middle ground for that match.
So if you split the difference, it's 3 stars, which is a really inappropriate rating, actually, because that's just quite good, isn't it? It's like, it was all right,
It is. It's
not bad.
It's a 2-star. It's a 2-star and a 4-star match simultaneously.
Yeah.
Because you can't take your eyes off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you were bored watching this, what's up, man? What are you doing? Right, let's move to the night 1 main event. The AAA threat between Seth the Chef Rollins, obviously, CM Punk and Roman Reigns. The allegiances of Paul Heyman seemingly on the line in this puppy here. That was the kind of prevailing story leading into this. It was all about Heyman. I know Seth had tried to do some, you left the company and I stayed and all that stuff, and I can't leave wrestling to you guys because you guys suck and all that stuff. But the main hinge of intrigue was over Paul Heyman and what would happen. Obviously, CM Punk's favor was, hey, you're in my corner, and he screwed both of them. He screwed Roman and CM Punk. So to start off, I thought this was like, your standard WWE like kind of freeway, big bombs all over the place. Felt like a very Paul Heyman kind of match in that there was lots of finishers and finisher kickouts. There was one moment where Roman consecutively kicked out of a stomp, a pedigree, and a GTS, I think, and I was like, yeah, this is how it is. But the thing about that kind of match is that they're exciting and they're fun, and you have a good time watching them. I think that if you are kind of sick of the melodrama, right? If you're sick of the facial expressions and the interferences and the swerves and all of that stuff, you probably went quite low on this. I didn't. I had a good time. I would probably go about 3.5 on this. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was a good match. It was about what I expected, actually. I expected it to be kind of bombastic and a little bit melodramatic and silly. And also the finish is really interesting because I think Seth is a more interesting winner than either.
Right result.
Yeah, either Punk or Roman. I would have probably said Punk heading into it, but coming out of it, I feel it was good. Also, it's really interesting. Like, what are these guys going to do? What's their next move? It's good. I think it's good stuff.
Right, here we are. Here we go.
19.
This is going to be probably the wildest star rating I'm going to give across this video, and I will caveat this by saying do not let this affect how you think I'm about to rate the triple threat from night 2, which was unbelievable, and I'm going to give a far more fairer star rating to that one. I loved this match, understandably, for all the things Andy pointed out, of all the finisher kickouts and what have you. 3 huge stars making incredible entrances at WrestleMania. All the buzz around the main event of night 1 and Punk getting his flowers, quite rightly so. Paul Heyman, the melodrama, the faces. If you don't like it, I get it. If you do, welcome to my kind of wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. So I had such a good time watching this match. I was losing my mind with every single kick out. And despite the fact, as you said, and then in the end, obviously, it came to pass, despite the fact this match centered around Paul Heyman, there were numerous moments in it where I just thought, well, I guess he's just going to stand at the ringside and watch this play out, and someone's going to win through hitting either their finish or nicking someone else's. Yeah. But in the end, obviously, as you say, Paul Heyman gets involved. He betrays Punk. He betrays Roman Reigns. He aligns with Seth Rollins. I think that is by far the right result. Like you say, I was backing Punker going in as well, but I was watching this going, no, that's 100% the right call, and it's just opened up a world of possibilities following WrestleMania 41. So, I'm going to do my maths, and you may remember this from star ratings, for WrestleMania 40, Night 2. So, I thought this was, and I was going to knock it down slightly, because I was going to say one thing, but that will water down what I'm about to say for the opener of Night 2. So, I'm going to say, for me, this was 4.5 stars, right? I've rewatched it already, so there's the test it passes for me. 4.5 stars. There's 2 betrayals, that's 2 stars, right? Okay. 2 betrayal, one for Punk and one for Seth.
Okay, we're at 6.5.
6.5. Paul Heyman's face, 7.5. And the right result in terms of Seth Rollins leaving, half star. 8 stars. There you go, an 8-star match. But with all the caveats that you would expect, because now, Andy, it's time to move over to night 2 of WrestleMania, and a match that's far easier to do a star rating for because it was a 5-star match. It was one of the best openers in WrestleMania history, in my opinion. I have been incredibly smug and annoying on social media, banging on about maybe triple threats aren't so bad after all, guys, because I loved the one in NXT with Javon Evans and Obafemi and Trick Williams. I thought that was
probably the one that no one was complaining about before the shows.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was the right way to lay that sort of match out, in my opinion. Adding Javon Evans just added some real spice and bounciness to that. Go and check that out if you haven't seen Stand and Deliver. And then obviously you got the main event of night 1, which was crucial in terms of, I think, saving people's analysis and take on night 1 of WrestleMania.
Up to that point,
I think that was fair. But night 2, you were just like, wow, we are off to the races here. I was picking Bianca Belair going into this. I thought she was going to retain her undefeated streak, but no. Io Sky, beloved Io Sky, the only one who really didn't divide opinion in the stadium for me, entering and leaving as champion. These 3. As we said in the build, look, the build was awful. Arguably the worst build of any match at WrestleMania. And we mentioned that they just sort of went, New Day Vikings can be on the show, I suppose. It was just so easy to do, and they messed it up. But as we said throughout the entire build as well, disregard what they're doing, because once those 3 step in the ring, they're going to produce magic. And they did. I thought it was just jaw-dropping. Probably like melodrama stuff. You watch the main event of night 1, pure wrestling. I was chatting to some guys doing a podcast with them yesterday, and they said, "What was your best wrestling match that you saw across WrestleMania?" This by a country mile.
Yeah.
5 stars.
5 stars. That's good because I put that in the thumbnail. This was exceptional. It was one of the best openers in WrestleMania history. Yeah. I put it up there, like Owen versus Brett is probably the one I'd put above it. Maybe I could think of 1 or 2 more, but not many. No. Like, it's right up there. This was the best WWE Spot Fest in ages. And that's what it was. It was a Spot Fest, but it was an incredible one because it's 3 great wrestlers who work extremely hard and have tremendous chemistry.
I didn't realise how well their moves were going to blend into each other.
Yeah. This is it. It felt like every time someone hit a finish and it was 1, 2, 3, someone came flying out of nowhere. There was several moments where I feared for their safety, which is good. That brings it up a notch in my view. The one where I can't remember if it was Rhea or Bianca, but they just on the top rope. They just planted Io into the post.
Oh, it was Rhea.
Yes,
she was going for a riptide. Yeah,
that's right. And then she just went splat. It was so crazy looking, and the match was full of that. It was just a straight up adrenaline popping popcorn fest across the board. I don't know who could watch this and go, that wasn't very good. That would be silly. But yeah, no, I thought it was tremendous. I had 4 3/4, purely because I don't think it's one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Okay.
It was fantastic though.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, the best thing for me on the 2 shows. You cannot ask for more than that. I think that I'm very confused why people are booing Bianca all of a sudden. Rhea was more heelish for me in the build, but hey, people are going to go the way they go. There were some other crowd reactions on this show that were quite interesting that we'll talk about. In fact, but not in the next match, but in the one after. But yeah,
I'm interested to see if this match is skewed star ratings wise for Damian Priest's entrance for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, poor Kerry King came out shredding his guitar, and it sounds like they had some kind of microphone problem or something. Somebody loudly on camera went, "The mic's gone," as soon as he started shredding. So, yeah, it sounded a bit fuzzy, but it was still cool to see.
Slayer.
Still cool to see. I thought they were going to get Slayer to do like South of Heaven or something. It was Kerry shredding Damian's theme, but that's fine. It's Slayer. Drew had, what was it, the Doom Slayer? From Doom Dark Ages, which is coming up. So there you go. Drew is a Doom, and Drew is a Doom metal guy, and Damian Priest is a thrash metal guy, it seems. But yeah, this was the Sin City Street Fight. It was plunderific across the board. This was really good. This hit really hard. I think that obviously Drew doing the sequel to his tweet from last year was just a sensational bit of business. How can you not have a laugh when you look at that? And there was just so many really good, like, well sequenced moments and spots. The one where they had the 2 tables set out on the outside of the ring for ages and ages and ages.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, crazy. And then suddenly the way they shot it when Damian finally went through it, to where it was like looking head on, right?
Yeah.
So he's falling backwards if the camera's looking at us. The way he just kind of went, wee, was extremely well done. For a feud that when it was, pitched was described as a nothing match, I think they really made the most of it, and that's why I would go 3 3/4 on it.
Yeah, I had such a good time with this match. A second year in a row where Drew McIntyre's gone, that's not the ideal spot for us this. Should we just go out and kick each other's ass and have a real sort of 10-minute banger? I was looking there as you were talking across this entire card, and I can't think or picture here a match at WrestleMania that had such, in my opinion, such a surprisingly good build and delivered on the night as well. Like, they've gone, like you say, from that. I still remember sitting with you and they was talking about, like, Drew's kind of getting it out there that he doesn't really want to face Damian Priest, and whether that was all worked or not, like the way they executed, the way they've sort of painted the picture of how this has all come from literally last year's cash in, of course, and then it's folded throughout the year. The eye patch, the glass, putting him through the windscreen stuff, the brawls they kept having that were really good and hard hitting, to the delivery here, because like you say, they could have had this like slow plodding 20-minute you got weapons. It wasn't anything like that. And my God, that finish, not just like you say, the push through the tables where you're just like, well, Drew's winning definitely now, but to be I'm going to bring this half dead man him and just finish him off by claymoring him into a chair. What a brilliant springboard for Drew, potentially going after Jey Uso going forward. We'll have to wait and see, but I thought they both delivered. I thought the Slayer thing was so cool, as you mentioned. I'm going to go 4 stars on this one. I had a hoot watching this.
It was absolutely rocking.
I'll tell you what else was rocking, and that was Allegiant Stadium when Dominic Mysterio became Intercontinental Champion. Of course, the champ going in was Bron Breakker. It was a 4-way with Penta, Finn, and Dom, of course. And again, I couldn't believe it when you told me the odds for Dom winning. And watching this match, I went, it all makes sense now. One of the biggest pops across the weekend, Dominic Mysterio winning the IC title.
I think it was the pop of the week. It was unbelievable.
No one else that I can think of basically called an audible when they were walking back up the ramp celebrating to be like, no, they want me to do it a little bit more.
I'm going back, baby.
I'm so happy for Dominic Mysterio. It's an amazing story about how his career has developed over the years and over the WrestleManias, of course. And again, we had such a good time with regards to... Thank you very much, sir. With regards to this four-way. Penta being in there, Bron Breakker doing his stuff as well was just awesome. Like, Bron Breakker spearing Carlito across the tables. The moment Carlito got involved, I thought, well, that's going to be an interesting comeback for him when that comes around. And that didn't take very long as well. R.I.P. Carlito for the second time. But yeah, all four men in this match absolutely delivered, and I thought the finish was so spot on. It was leg grabbing stuff. It was Jamie Carragher and Thierry Henry. It's with me and Adam Nicholas in the stands because we were watching, and he gets crotched, and Finn Balor takes over and he hits the coup de grace, and I was like, Dom's not out of this. And he comes in, he wins the IC title. 4 stars as well. I had such a good time watching this.
Yeah, definitely. This was really, really well done. It was kind of. I thought we were going to have a bit of a run in there. I thought he was going for a swim in the fountain behind us. I'm not sure if he made it to the camera, but if he did, enjoy that. This was good. This was really well done. I think, again, it was kind of... I've seen some people say, oh, the finish was similar to the ladies, but like for me, like what made the difference here was the layout. Like they really emphasized support for Dominic by making Finn such a prick in the whole match. He was an asshole to him the whole match, right? So that really built up more and more support in the building, and people were already behind him to the point that when the finishing sequence kind of started happening, people were pining for this. They were going nuts.
619 to a pop that his dad would get.
Yeah, this is it, and his 619's bad. It's like it's not a good not move.
Great,
It's but that's part of the charm. I think exactly. That's part of the appeal of this whole deal. So I've got the same rating. I've got a 4. I thought it was extremely well done. The way they took like what could have just been like a spot fest or whatever, like a basic ass scramble match, and transformed it by having Finn and Dom's dynamic played up so well. Carlito just taking a pasting. I mean,
Braun lost nothing in losing the title.
No, he wasn't pinned. Was he? He wasn't pinned, was he?
No,
I get it wrong.
I think Penta was pinned because he got the coup de grace and
That's
the
right.
splash, maybe.
That's
or
right.
Maybe he pinned Finn, regardless.
Yeah, 2 finishes or whatever. It's fine. It's fine. So yeah, I slapped a 4 on this bad boy as well. I thought it was a tremendous time across the board, which echoes, I guess, our next match, although in a totally different way.
Yeah. It's hard to star rating this, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 3 minutes. Joe Hendry versus Randy Orton, right? So Randy Orton comes out and he has this incredible video package. It's like everything he's ever done at Mania. It's really well done. It's highlighting his legacy on these shows. Yeah. Move on from that one. But once he gets to the ring, he cuts a little fired up promo and goes, "Who's going to face me?" There's a long pause in the building, and I
love the way they shot this, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
The way they introduced both Joe and Becky, I thought was really, really good in terms of rather than sometimes they do the wide shot and just both of them just smashed it.
Yeah, straight in there. They cut to the kind of ramp and you saw a figure standing there, and then the say his name and he'll appear.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I still can't.
I didn't expect it at all. I was sitting there going, "Oh, it's Rusev, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Or like
Aldis.
Yeah, lots of people were on the Aldis bus. But yeah, I didn't expect Joe at all. So he came down, he got an incredible pop. Just unbelievable. One of the loudest of the night. And look, they had a match. It was 3 minutes long. There wasn't a whole lot of meat on the bones. Joe got he got to do his follow-away slam and some other cool things. As soon as he did his cool pose, Randy Orton swept in and RKO'd him. So he kind of got geeked out as the TNA champion. It's an impossible one to rate, really, because it was 3 minutes long. I have no idea. I had fun. 3 stars.
Yeah,
Sod it.
3 stars. I agree. Yeah, exactly right. My job at these shows is to present what went down and go and check it out if you haven't done it. Thanks to everyone who came out to do that. I didn't make any notes for this match. I forgot to. I was just so taken up by it all. The bit where because there was a split second where I was like, uh-oh. Is Randy just going to RKO him straight out of the gate? Because that would have been a bad call, especially with him being the TNA heavyweight champion, of course, world champion. But no, he got a bit of stuff in there. There was a nice, funny visual where Randy was like, "Who do you think you're choking, mate?"
Yeah, what you up to?
What are you doing?
What are you up to, boss?
But Joe got some stuff in, like you say. I thought the finish was just funny, and the post-match of like, "Come on, give us." I'm still Randy Orton, and then he does the pose as well. So Joe gets his stuff. I was just off in the clouds when Joe's music hit, and watching him do this. It's like incredible to see what's happened with him over the years. And I know I do the WCPW alumni bit, but like genuinely just So happy for him. Yeah, 3 stars. You can't really rate this.
Yeah, it was so
There's not going to
short.
be ratings probably for this.
It was more of an angle to
Yeah.
the match, and but did you have a good time? That's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One match we can rate is AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. This won't take long.
No.
This was the match myself and Adam Nicholas both went, that is the match we are going to go and get some food for.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we did. I didn't miss it, actually. I saw the entirety of the match. I didn't really miss it because it was just, Logan Paul's a cocky bell end, and AJ Styles got a bit of a pasting early on and then came back and was AJ Styles. Yeah. Like, man, we need to have a sit down and have a conversation about AJ Styles' WrestleMania matches at some point. But yeah, I just didn't care, to be perfectly honest, about this. However, I'm going to use the Wilborn star rating system, right? Because I was going to give this 2 stars because it was now, and it was just, another one of his, stupid mates trying to get involved, right? And I was like, here we go. I don't know. It's all one of his entourage or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to hoy an extra star on this. It's a 3-star match because the stars are star brackets star here because that star goes specifically to Karrion Kross because I want Karrion Kross to get a huge push after WrestleMania. Have you seen the clip of him on the Raw recap? Yeah. Amazing. He's been doing stuff like that for so long if you've been a fan of his like we have on the podcast. So it's a 2-star match with a star for Karrion Kross.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like what Mr. Cross has been doing. He should be involved in more programs. Yeah. I thought this was minging. Well, it's just like, where are we at with both of these guys right now? It's a product of their current situations. AJ, look, I have no doubt that he can still go out and have good matches with people. He proved that last year with Cody, and a few others as well. But he also has, at this stage, he's slowed down a little bit, and it's understandable. He's had a long career. He's worked a fast, explosive style throughout that career for most parts. But he does have a turquinho, a turka sausage in him. And Logan Paul, look, what's this? 4 or 5 years in now. We're deep in this now. The novelty of him being a celebrity that can do these crazy athletic things has worn off.
Great bookshot Larry, at best in the business.
well, he innovated it, so I don't know what you're talking about. Who could possibly have done it as well? We're at the point where he's just a guy now, right? And he hasn't really evolved. He hasn't really grown. He's learned a couple of new moves, but there's nothing in between those moves.
Poses.
Yeah. And it's like, apart from fame and the willingness to get a drone and fly it about, right? Apart from those 2 things, what's the difference, really, between Logan Paul and Austin Theory? Or Logan Paul and Grayson Waller in terms of character and style? Yeah, maybe he's a bit more explosive than those 2 guys. But what does that matter if you don't have a clue how to fill the gaps in between? I'm done with him. I'm bored of him. Even from a heel perspective, I don't even want to see him get his ass kicked anymore. I'm just bored. He's just a boring ass wrestler. And at WrestleMania, he had a boring ass match that AJ Styles wasn't much better in. 2 stars. Exact same rating.
Star rating, same star rating with 1 extra one for Karrion Kross.
There you go. Yeah. I'll give Karrion Kross a third of a star. There you go.
Okay.
2 and a third. Even Dave wouldn't do something that silly. But yeah, cool. So let's move on to something a little bit better. The women's tag team title match. This was fun. So a lot of people are annoyed with what happened with Bayley because it was all creative. She's not actually injured. They put her in to pull her out so they could get Becky in there, basically, which has led to some people thinking that Becky politicked into it. Conclusions being drawn all over the place. But yeah. So it was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Obviously, they come out. Lyra Valkyria comes out, and then there's a little bit of a pause, and then boom! Oh, it's Becky Lynch. Yeah. She's here. I think everybody and their grandmother saw this coming because they have history. Lyra and Becky.
It's like they have eyes.
Yeah. They have a working brain, and they can do 2 and 2 plus 2. But it was a really fun pop, obviously, because we've not seen Becky in like a year at this stage. She came down. They had a really straightforward match. It was kind of like house showy in layout. It was all about like cutting Becky off from getting into the ring. Liv Morgan was terrified initially, but then started getting into a groove a little bit. They cut her off, they worked Lyra over, and then finally Becky came into a massive pop, was the difference maker, and won the match for her team. About 8-9 minutes, not a lot of meat on those bones, but fun nonetheless. The point of this was to get from the entry pop to the tag pop to the finish pop. It did that successfully, so I'd go 3 stars.
Yeah, I'd probably go slightly higher, 3.5 stars, but again, just because I was excited to see Becky Lynch back into it. And like you say, very simple layout. I was watching this going, right, yep, wait for the hot tag, and then Liv cuts her off just before she can get there and runs away from her. And then in the end, Becky Lynch, apologies by the way, on what went down, I may have said that Becky Lynch won with the rock bottom rather than the manhandle slam. I had Dwayne on the mind last night, so I do apologise for that one. But nevertheless, fun match, 3.5 stars. Great to see Becky Lynch back. I will say, and I'm going to keep repeating this until I'm proven wrong, and I hope I'm not, by WWE, I don't get the upset around Bayley. I do to a certain extent,
sure,
but it's a story, and I think, not to be the let it play out guy, but genuinely see where this goes, because I think this is going to be the perfect catalyst for seeing where Bayley and Becky and Lyra all go together. Like, they're not getting rid of Bayley. She literally won the world title at last year's WrestleMania. Yeah, she's still great. She had a great match with Lyra Valkyria just a few weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. They've just seen this as a bigger picture thing of like, we're going to take you up WrestleMania, but it's going to serve into, I think she's going to turn around and be like, hey Lyra, you really moved on from me fast, didn't you? And now you're the tag champs, and how's that going to play out with how's Becky Lynch going to be involved in this as well? I'm really intrigued by it all. And Lyra 2 belts, congratulations to Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, hell of a year.
And I hope that factors into maybe Bayley and Lyra going at it again for the IC title, because that's what would really elevate that title yet again.
Agreed. How do we pick this one apart?
I do not know how to rate this one. You sent the notes through for this, and I had all my stuff sorted in my mind of like, right, I'm going to do a silly rating for night 1's main event, and then I looked at night 2's main event, and I thought, I don't know what star rating to give this. Yeah. It's Cody Rhodes versus John Cena if you've been, living under a rock or whatever for the WWE title. John Cena is your new 17-time world champion, a record breaker. Allegedly, sort of. At least according to WWE, there was no Dwayne. The Rock was clearly so many steps ahead he couldn't make it back to Allegiant Stadium.
He's in Florida, actually. He's so far ahead. He just went all the way across the country.
But he sent someone in his stead, and that was Travis Scott, who has a slower WrestleMania entrance than The Undertaker, apparently. But he does take a wicked crossroads. You're back on side.
Right on his face. Yeah. Cody kept that receipt.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what happens. But look, John Cena is John Cena in 2025. I think it was never going to be anything comparable to what Cody's pulled out in main events of WrestleManias over the last few years. For obvious reasons, the story they told was the best version of that story, in my opinion, that didn't involve The Rock. We haven't star rated Stone Cold's ATV crash.
Okay, that was 5 stars.
Oh, it's 5 stars on the GTA rating because the police are going to be coming after him if he keeps driving around like that and missing ramps.
He missed the ramp on his entrance. He went flying the wrong way. They had to literally pull him out.
Looking down, we were right above it. We could see it.
Yeah, and then he came flying up. He came flying down, went around the corner, and crashed in the ring, hurt that person.
He nailed it the first time, and then he got too excited.
Yeah. Crashed into barricades. Nick Khan's like, oh no. So hopefully the person's doing okay, obviously. But 5 stars. So
how much money will it take to make the boo-boos go away? Thank you very much for coming. See you at WrestleMania for the next 10 years, probably on the front row.
Nick Khan is gonna take care of it. Don't worry.
I hope that lady's all right, of course. But with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, they told the story of Cody being, understandably, a far better wrestler than he was, and John not only having to cut corners, but also saying screw you to Cody and the fans, not only with his amazing John Cena
in like Montserrat bold. That's our font.
Yeah.
Stay away, John. Get off Google Fonts.
But it was just a surreal moment. I will say I did like the finish. I know some people, Simon mentioned on his ups and downs, were maybe expecting a kick out, and big picture in terms of The Rock getting involved, maybe. But the way it obviously echoed the Elimination Chamber turn, the kick in the bollocks and the belt shot to get the 1, 2, 3 was great. I don't normally quite like some shenanigans in my WrestleMania main events. You may have noticed that over recent years. This wasn't, quite at that level for me. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars and just leave it at that, because this is one of the matches that I'm sure people are going to have all the conversations on. Look, it was not anywhere near the match of the weekend, obviously, but it was also not a complete car crash in terms of funny, that was Stone Cold's job. In terms of John Cena not even being able to do anything, he's going to do the 5 moves of doom because he's that John Cena. So I think at the end of the day, I was just happy the right result happened, and Cody Rhodes again just showcasing how brilliant he is, because just like on SmackDown, that crowd wasn't necessarily behind him in terms of making this a heel face thing, but he's just so good. He pulls that out of people. I'm excited to see where he goes next, and John Cena, heel champion. Here we go.
He's ruined wrestling, baby.
Yes.
So, at the top of the card now, oh my god, lack of sleep is catching up with me. At the top of the card now, we've got him. Oh, we're on that billboard. Hey, you can't see that. That's useless to you.
Thanks for
Sorry.
for taking care of it.
Yeah, what a weekend. John Cena's cooked, I think. He looked bad in this match.
He's had a hair transplant as well.
He has, coward. So you know who I was booing last night. But I thought he looked rubbish in this match. A lot of the time he was doing really basic stuff like double axe handles and things like that, which I enjoy. It's like, hey, 1982, let's go. I'm into that kind of thing. And actually, until like Travis Scott, I thought it was an okay match. I thought it was pretty good. He locked Cody in the worst STFU I've ever seen. It was just like Cody's head was like at his shoulders almost. It was mental. And the Travis Scott stuff, the long entrance. Cena was pissing himself laughing when Travis was coming down. Yeah, he was just laughing his ass off over there. I don't know if that was like in the story or if he was just like, why is this taking so long? Fine, took a while. It's a difficult one. This is a really tricky one. I agree. Look, I think that I'm not as annoyed about the finish as a lot of people, right? I do think it's a bit mental that Cena took about 20 seconds to cover and pin him. It was like Booker T and Triple H. Obviously, without the terrible connotations of that match.
Great sell from Cody.
Yeah,
Dead.
really good stuff. He did a great job throughout this match, I thought.
He could.
He did. I think what the problem with this match is that people have been conditioned to expect more shenanigans, right? Yeah, it's not just one guy interfering and a ref bump and a kick in the nuts.
7.
Yeah. This is it. The WWE main event style is more until the final thing happens, and boom, everyone goes happy. I think fans have been conditioned to expect that now, so when The Rock didn't turn up, it was like, what? Why? What? And it's also a bit confusing because he, Elimination Chamber, we've not seen him. So what's the Dwayne up to? I don't think he knows going from the next minute from 1 minute to the other. But yeah, until all the shenanigans, I thought it was a pretty solid little match. I have no idea. How am I going to rate this?
I said 3.5, and I'm already questioning it.
Yeah. I'm not going to give it a good rating. I'm going to be the voice of the complainers,
right.
Because they need a voice, and I think they are partly right. So I'm going to have 1 3/4.
Okay.
I'm gonna get. It wasn't good, and Cena looked rubbish, and he did lots of really simple stuff, but he didn't even do that well, and it's just a bit of a bummer. It's just a bit of a bummer. Despite that rating, I didn't hate it. No. I'm not mad or whatever. It was just.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Yeah, I'll rewatch it. I'm
gonna time Travis Scott's entrance.
Yeah. And see how many minutes that added on to the runtime. But hey, I think we're done here. So thank you for joining in.
You're better at this than us. Let us know your star rating.
Yeah, remember, these are just our opinion. That's all star ratings are. Don't let anyone ever convince you that a star rating is more than an opinion. It's not. No. It doesn't matter if it's us or if it's you or if it's Dave Meltzer or if it's Wave Seltzer or whoever. It's just someone's opinion, man. We're all just telling you what we think about wrestling. And if you think it's better or worse or whatever, let us know. Let's have a chat. Let's not shout at each other. Let's not be nasty. But hey, thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this, check out this thing right here. It's what the algorithm thinks is best for you, my friend. So if you don't like it, blame the robot. Bye.